Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you, as always, for joining us right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you for the next couple of hours, breaking down, Adam, everything we saw in the divisional round. But also, I think there's more that happened after those games were over. It was on Saturday. We got news about Bo Nix. And just now this morning, we got news that Sean McDermott has been fired as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. So there is a lot to react to today. It's an overreaction Monday. We could talk about the Seahawks the whole time if you wanted to. I'm totally open and down for it. But how you doing? How's it going?
Yeah, of all the games and things that happened this weekend, I think the Seahawks are probably going to get the least amount of time.
Woohoo! Well, not if I have anything to do with it, right? I think the whole
There's
second
really
half
not much
is just,
to say. It
I
was
think we should
over
break
quickly.
down every play and just go through each, every scoring play. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I don't know
we're
about
not gonna
that
do
one.
that. That was the most dominant win, 41-6. But the bigger news, Adam, is coming out of Broncos Buffalo for two very different reasons, both bad though. To be totally honest with you, the first game on Saturday, you had a 33-30 win for the Denver Broncos. They walked off the field in Mile High. You thought that maybe they weren't going to be able to do it, and they did. Maybe some questionable calls. I think people are always going to look back at the interception that a lot of people thought was a catch, whatever it is. But now, Adam, we not only got news after that game that Bo Nix is done for the season because he had the injury he suffered a broken bone in his ankle on the third to last play. We also got news that head coach, the Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott has been fired this morning. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Sean McDermott? That's the quickest news. Like, that's the most pressing news right now. So Sean McDermott fired after 9 seasons with Buffalo, been to the playoffs in 8 of the 9 seasons. They are retaining their GM. If any Buffalo fans are listening, which I don't know if that's not a mistake in and of itself, but yeah, Sean McDermott out. We're going to have 10 new head coaches in 2026. 10. We already have two coaches that have been hired. It's Kevin Stefanski over with the Falcons, and it's Harbaugh over with the Giants. I don't know if those two aren't regretting their decisions right now and thinking, man, I could have gone and coached Josh Allen. But we're going to have 10 new head coaches in 2026. That is crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And I know a lot of people are surprised by this news today. Again, I don't think it was McDermott's fault for the loss. When you turn it over 5 times, it's going to be really difficult to win, and they were in position to win. But on the other hand, you have an elite quarterback, and you still have not been able to get over the hump. And you run it back year after year after year, and it's more disappointing losses, whether it was his fault or not this time, which I don't think it was. I think keeping the GM and Brandon Beane was probably the surprising part here, because we have talked endlessly about the need for a wide receiver on this roster, and clearly it was a problem. But the Bills just keep finding ways to lose, and I think they got to a point where they go, well, we can't continue to run it back like this. And of course, it's been widely illustrated this year about how no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow, and this was the path to get there. And then for them to lose the way they did was certainly probably the final straw where they said, all right, we need to move on. But the timing of it isn't great either, because, the top coaching candidate, John Harbaugh, signed with the Giants. So that's also an issue. So who are you going to get now? Are they going to promote Joe Brady? So there's a lot of questions here with the Bills.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions, and it's a lot of disappointment. It's an overreaction Monday today, but we were talking over the last couple of weeks, Adam, saying, is this not the best time for the Bills to go and do this, for the Bills to go and win a Super Bowl? Because you didn't have Lamar Jackson, you didn't have Patrick Mahomes, you didn't have all those guys, Joe Burrow, that are usually in the mix here. And so we can look at a lot of things. I think it comes back to them not getting a receiver during the trade deadline. They said that they were in for Jalen Waddle, and then that nothing materialized, nothing happened. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen didn't help the case on Saturday, I should say. That was a really bad game from him. And it's unfortunate because whatever coach comes in there, you're still going to have a team and an organization that believes that their Super Bowl window is open. And I think we do as well, because it feels like it will always be open if you have a quarterback like Josh Allen. But it's just so disappointing to not have a Super Bowl appearance That's what Sean McDermott is leaving behind. 98-50 record. Still a great coach. He's going to be probably now, since we have Stefanski out, since we have Harbaugh out, the most sought after head coach now that he has been fired. But he's got an 8-8 mark in the postseason, and again, never reached a Super Bowl in his time over there. So 5 consecutive AFC East titles from 2020 to 2024. Finished second behind the New England Patriots this season. And yeah, I think he's going to be someone that a lot of these teams still go after. Miami, Tennessee, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Arizona, and Cleveland are still looking for their head coaches. But the game on Saturday, I mean, it wasn't good. You saw Josh Allen in that post-game presser, Adam, and he was crying. He said, "I let my team down." And while all the players came out and said that he didn't, you have to look at some of the numbers, and you can't win a game like that. They did not deserve to win that game, even though they were close, Adam. And I was looking at Buffalo fans kind of scrolling through Twitter to see how they were feeling, but it was just a bad game from Josh Allen that we said had to be like a superhero, and he just wasn't on Saturday.
And what's crazy, it's such a thin margin between winning and losing in this league. If Josh Allen completes that pass to Dawson Knox, we're not having this discussion, right? They're on to the AFC Championship. McDermott lives another year, and that's it. But just the way that it happened, and he blamed the officials a lot too in the post-game presser, which I don't know. And look, I don't know if that was the final straw, but I don't think you can do that. Like, you saw 2 different press conferences yesterday with McDermott blaming the officials, then calling the reporter to give him more insight on what happened. And then you had Sean McVay, who won, and without being prompted, took blame for a lot of play calling and said it was on him. So you just had 2 contrasting coaching press conferences there. But yeah, I get a lot of people think McDermott should not have been fired. I get it. I understand it. I'm not surprised by it. These teams are like, we might have brought it up a few weeks ago, say, hey, if they lose in the first round, does he go? Because how much more time do you want to give to this marriage between Allen and McDermott, which has not gone to the next level? And then you see these other teams with coaches and quarterbacks in their second year getting to championship games. So, again, I don't think you can't put it all on McDermott. I think Beane deserves a lot of the blame here, and it is surprising that they are keeping him, because whatever numbers you look at with McDermott, I mean, they're great. 662 winning percentage in his time in Buffalo, 5 division titles, the point differential every year. I mean, they've been a dominant team. It's just they have not been able to take that next step. Maybe you could say, okay, give them one more year, but I understand why they did this. It's unfortunate timing because, again, Harbaugh is off the market, and who are you going to go to next? I did see Brian Dable's name mentioned because
Don't do this.
I think it was Diana Rossini who tweeted a little while ago that his name keeps coming up because him and Josh Allen have a really good relationship.
I don't know. I'm thinking right now if Harbaugh is not kicking himself a little bit for not waiting one more week. Do you think Kevin Stefanski, Harbaugh are thinking that right now? Because Harbaugh was locked in a little bit late. It took a little bit to get that contract done. Yeah, he should have pushed that
a little further because I was hoping that would fall apart.
I know you were, because you don't like the Giants. But let's just throw that out there. It's not for anything. Everyone listening, it's just he doesn't like the Giants. But they did push that a little bit to get the wording of the contract correct. But I'm wondering if both of those guys aren't sitting there thinking, wow, I could have been coaching Josh Allen in 2026 they're ushering in a lot of new stuff except for their GM, which again doesn't, to me, I'm with you, Adam, it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to fire Sean McDermott, send Brandon Beane with him, because he has been behind him with some of these bad decisions or decisions that haven't been made. So he's being retained, and he's going to help lead the team search for a new head coach. They're going to debut the 2026 season in their new stadium. And again, you still have Josh Allen. It wasn't a great day. We can just say that. Josh Allen has always been the guy that we say has to play superhero a little bit, and it was just another one that ended without a Super Bowl appearance. And when you do that, I think we had this conversation last year with Sean McDermott, to be honest, where we said, okay, are his days numbered? Is the time numbered? Because, it's been like that for a little bit. But when you throw 2 interceptions on the night, you include 1 in overtime, you lose 2 fumbles. You look at the Broncos, they scored points off 3 of Allen's 4 turnovers. And it was just a bad day. The way the press conference went afterwards probably did not help, but it's just another season for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills where you say, what could have been? What could have happened here? Denver was always going to be a tough team, traveling to, Mile High, playing in that environment, playing in that stadium. It did look lovely, though. Nice, beautiful day over there. No snow, but it just, it wasn't a new day. And so Josh Allen is going to be in this 2026 season with the new head coach, and we're going to have to see how it goes because Adam, I was thinking about this earlier. You've got 10 new head coaches in 2026, more than half of them realistically, and this is not to be like a wet blanket or anything, but more than half of them are going to fail. We do not usually see brand new head coaches succeed like we see, with the Bears. That does not usually happen.
No, it's true. I mean, you are taking a chance here because you have something that has been working. Again, you have not been able to get to the next level, get to the Super Bowl, which is obviously the ultimate goal, especially when you have a franchise quarterback like Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get this. So he'll be 30 years old starting next season. So, but it is true. You could bring in someone and it could be much worse. That's always the risk when you make a move like this. But also, on the other hand, it's like, well, we've been with McDermott all these years, and all we do is find different, new, heartbreaking ways to lose in the postseason. And that's the tough part. I do feel bad for Bills fans because
I do too.
These are some brutal losses. And again, in this game against Denver, you turn it over 5 times, unless you're C.J. Stroud and have a defense like the Texans behind you, you're done. And yet, they stayed in this game. They still had a chance to win in overtime. Again, Josh Allen had Knox wide open, couldn't make that throw. But turning it over 5 times, and especially the one right before halftime.
Oh, my goodness. What was that?
Look, I get it's Josh Allen, and you have faith in him. But you have no timeouts, 12 seconds left. What is the plan there? Because even if you hit a big play in the middle of the field, the likelihood is you can't even get everyone back to the line of scrimmage to spike it and attempt a field goal. Now, you got to put the blame on Allen, too, for holding the ball carelessly. But that was a massive play. I mean, we forget about it because it goes to overtime. But you gave Denver 3 points right there.
Yeah, I could not believe that one. And I don't know what I thought happened, but it was, it was all bad, and it was heartbreaking for Buffalo. And I think at the same time, though, Adam, and we've talked about this before, you have to put most, if not all, of the blame on Josh Allen at some point. We have to put him to the same standards that we do with Lamar Jackson in these situations. If he had a game like this, or if we've talked about other quarterbacks that have had bad games in the playoffs, it was always going to be a hard road for them to get to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl. And we kind of knew that. They were already playing the season where it was just like, man, he's doing this with not a lot of help, right? You had to have 3 road wins to do this. You had to do this with a defense that finished the regular season ranked 20th in defensive DVOA. So it was always going to be hard, but I just did not expect, this kind of game with Josh Allen. And so that ultimately is what led them to this loss. And it hurts. And we're going to have to see what this kind of new era. I don't even want to say new era of Buffalo Bills football is going to look like, because you still have Josh Allen. You still have pieces there that we're probably going to be talking about next year. We're going to say, hey, we'll draft James Cook. We'll draft Josh Allen. Maybe they do get a receiver in free agency. Not the best group of receivers unless A.J. Brown is on the move, and maybe they go try to get someone like him. But, you still have Josh Allen. I think that still will always keep the Super Bowl window open for you because he's just that good. But this game on Saturday was just, obviously not his best.
No, it definitely wasn't. He has to get blamed. Again, you turn it over for him 4 times. I'm not going to blame that last interception on him with Cooks, but still.
You think that was a catch, or you think that was an interception?
It was an interception. When you look at that one angle, there's a great angle where it shows when he hits the ground, the ball's taken away. So, again, by the rule, he didn't complete the catch going to the ground. So I know there's that still shot of him with the ball in his hand, knee on the ground being touched. But, again, by the letter of the law and the rule, it wasn't a catch.
And all
now,
this
what about
to say,
you? What do you think?
You know what? I thought at first it was a catch, and then I rewatched it last night, just like because we have all the different angles. Then once the game ends, and I say, okay, or whatever, Saturday night, and I was like, okay, that didn't necessarily look like it.
What's crazy is Cooks didn't even argue it.
No, so
right?
I was telling my mom, I was like, if he would have sold that a little bit better,
Yes.
maybe they would have said, like, maybe they would have ruled that differently. And then it's really tough when you do that because you have to have clear, concise evidence to overturn it. But he did not sell it at all. I think he also thought it was an interception.
I
So
mean,
that
we've
didn't help the
seen
case.
we've seen balls bounce on the ground, receivers pick it up and run towards the end zone
Yeah.
and try to sell it. So that was kind of surprising. And yeah, it's very difficult to call at the time, for
No
sure.
kidding.
But
That was
again,
a crazy game.
the Bills had so many opportunities, and you turn it over 5 times in a playoff game, and you
can't
only
win.
force one. It's very difficult to win. And yeah, Allen did all he could. He bounced back from that, put them in position to win. But yeah, just another gut-wrenching loss for the Bills.
Yeah, it was awful. All this to say, like, the loss wasn't not Allen's fault, but it wasn't his alone at the end of the day. When we do a recap of what this Bills team looked like, the path was hard to get to Santa Clara, to get to the Super Bowl. Brandon Beane shared criticism for, not doing more to improve the group during the season as they went on. They were decimated by injuries like a lot of these teams were this season, like the 49ers that we talked about. And on Saturday, Josh Allen was relying on a group that was led by Brandon Cooks, who, again, can't believe we're saying that. He signed with the team on the week of Thanksgiving. I remember that because I said, what are we doing here? This can't be right. And McCole Hardman was out there. He was elevated off the practice squad. So no excuses, though. You can't win a game when you have that many turnovers, when you look that bad, but they were still in it, which is kind of crazy, Adam. So that leads us to the conversation of Denver. And again, we're going to continue breaking this down because it was breaking news this morning, but Sean McDermott has been fired as the head coach for the Buffalo Bills. So he is out after 9 seasons. He's got 8 playoff appearances in those 9 seasons, but no Super Bowl appearances with one Josh Allen. So this is going to be really interesting to see who comes in. We will now have 10 new head coaches for the 2026 season, which is absolutely unreal, Adam, because the last time this happened was 2022, and 8 of those hires have already been fired, by the way. You had McDaniel, you had Daboll, you had Eberflus, Nathaniel Hackett. You had a lot of those guys. They're already out the door. That's why I say, realistically, this won't work out for more than half these teams. For the first year, I should say.
Oh, we know it. I mean, we've seen
Yeah.
it so many times. It's really difficult to find that head coach. So many franchises are still searching. And when you get that guy who gets the job done, you think sometimes it's a nice 2-3 year run and then it falls apart. Like, everyone loves Ben Johnson right now. Let's check back in 2 to 3 years. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. It seems like it's
Yeah.
going to be good, right? He changed the culture and everything, and everything looks on the upswing, but it can quickly go the other way.
We've got news, though, with Denver that we'll just mention here because we're breaking down all these games over the weekend. It's an overreaction Monday. If you've got an overreaction for us, or if you just want to, talk about the weekend, at K Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there. But we will not be seeing Bo Nix the rest of the playoffs, the rest of the way. He is going to be out for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, suffered a broken bone in his ankle. What does that mean for the Denver Broncos going forward? We're going to talk just a little bit of Seahawks, just a little, and then we're going to continue on. We're going to do all that coming up here, though. Next. Who would have thought, Adam, that if you would have told me before the 2025 season started that Lamar Jackson's head coach and Josh Allen's head coach would be fired after the season, I would have said, okay, sure, whatever you say. Not on my bingo card. Absolutely insane.
If you would have told me that, I would have been like, well, the Chiefs are in another Super Bowl, huh?
Probably,
Right?
right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. There's nothing to talk about today. It's just it feels like absolute chaos. You've got like reports coming in left and right. There was a report from The Athletic just this morning that nothing was settled as late as Saturday morning with Harbaugh, and I'm just like, wow. I wonder if people thought. But as much as you and I just said that we weren't necessarily shocked by this news, that means other coaches maybe were on the pulse, right? That figured if the Bills did not win that game, that Sean McDermott would be fired, and they would have just waited for that. Don't you think?
I don't know if it was that, because if that was truly Harbaugh's thought, then why didn't he wait longer?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he just didn't want. I don't know. I guess. I mean, because that's going to be a high pressure job. Every job is high pressure, right? But that feels like one of those, that job and the Ravens as well, probably 2 very high pressure situations, because you do have quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, right? So the idea is that you're going to come in and you need to win instantly because of, talk about the Super Bowl windows all the time. And if the door is open for that run, but those are probably 2 of the most high pressure head coach openings that you're going to have. Giants, I mean, there's pressure, but you get to mold Jackson Dart. You've got Malik Neighbors. We've talked about Cam Scatterboo, so you get to mold those guys. But with those two other jobs, you've got guys that are already proven. Well, they should be.
I still think there is a lot of pressure in New York because they've been bad for a while, and now people think they have the quarterback, and now you have a big name like Harbaugh coming in. So the expectations are to turn this team around. I'm already hearing talk. People are like, yeah, Giants are going to win 10 games to make the playoffs. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah. There is a lot of pressure on him. Maybe it is a little bit different if you do take over a team like Buffalo because you do have Josh Allen and because they've been so close, right? The expectation is for the next coach who comes in there, it's not to win a division. It's not to win a playoff game. It's not to just to get to the AFC Championship game. It is to win the AFC, get to a Super Bowl, win. That's the expectation. Yep. The same thing with Baltimore as well for whatever coach goes there because they have that quarterback, which is always the most difficult part, right, is finding that franchise quarterback. And then once you have that, is winning. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure, I think, whenever you're in a spot like that.
McDermott again fired from Buffalo, leaves with a 98-50 regular season record, including 7 straight 10-plus win campaigns, according to NFL's, all the insiders. But an 8-8 again postseason record over there. By the way, last stat on this, and then we're going to talk about Bo Nix here. But Mike Vrabel was hired 372 days ago and is now technically the longest tenured coach in the AFC East.
That is
that crazy?
Hilarious. Oh my goodness.
I don't know what's happening here. I mean, this is just absolutely nuts. So again, 10 new head coaches for 2026. We've got 2 of them locked in already with Harbaugh going to the Giants. We got Kevin Stefanski news over the weekend, and he will be with the Atlanta Falcons as their new head coach. We're going to break that one down. But just to finish things off with the news that we got after those Saturday games and the Broncos won, but at what cost, Adam? I mean, it was crazy that with everything that happened with Josh Allen and how bad that team looked with that many turnovers that they weren't able to win this in a little bit more demanding fashion. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. 33-30 though, win in overtime. But the big news came after that game where you saw Sean Payton go up to the presser and say to the reporters that Bo Nix suffered a broken bone in his ankle on the third to last play, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season. And he's getting surgery, I believe he said, on Tuesday to get that right. Jarrett Stidham is going to be the starter for Denver in their AFC Championship game, and they are taking on the New England Patriots after the Patriots took down the Houston Texans. And this was just shocking, Adam. I was out when I read that news, and I just said, whoa, there's no way. Is this real? I thought I was getting duped. And then it was unfortunately real. So Denver has this season where they've got a ton of wins at home. They're finally they're 1 win away from going to a Super Bowl, and you don't have your quarterback out there. It's going to be Jarrett Stidham. What a blow that after that game that they just won.
Yeah, and the crazy part is we never saw it immediately. He did his post-game interview. There were really no signs that anything was going on. And then, when I saw the news alert, I'm like, wait, is this real? Is this fake?
Yeah, I thought it was fake.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, obviously, for Denver, when it should have been a great win and celebration. Now you're going with Stidham, who has not thrown a pass since 2023, but we do know Sean Payton loves him. I mean, he wanted to draft him. One of the first signings he made in Denver was bringing in Stidham. We know Josh McDaniel knows him very well, too. So we've seen some backups go in there in the postseason and surprise. So we know that New England is favored in this game. That line keeps moving in their favor as things continue to break right for New England. I mean, you talk about a path.
No kidding.
But look, a lot of people are saying that, but there's nothing you can do. I mean, I do think New England is a very good football team, but things have broken right for them. And sometimes you need that in a postseason run. You just get a lot of breaks and things go your way. But you still got to go out there and win the game. But a nice break for the Patriots as they'll face a backup quarterback making his season debut.
Yeah, it's just nuts. And so what did that line, do you have those in front of you? What did that line
I think it was up to 5.5. I think it might be back to 4.5 now.
Kind of makes sense. But Stidham, I mean, So when you look at Jarrett Stidham, again, anything can happen here, Adam, right? Like, I'm not totally counting them out, but you know that when you have when you have that team with a backup quarterback going into this game against the Patriots, it's always going to be tough. Nick, maybe he can do his best Nick Foles impression, because Nick Foles reminded Broncos fans, what could happen if things do go right for Jarrett Stidham. But it's just one of those situations where this is going to be an uphill battle, and there's no other way to look at it. Jarrett Stidham, when you look at him, he's 29. He's appeared in 20 games, 4 starts over his 7 NFL seasons, but he's never appeared in a postseason game. So again, thank goodness they're at home in this one. I think that's going to help them just a little bit, because you want all the help you can get. But the Patriots actually drafted Stidham in the 4th round in 2019. So again, he has been a backup for his whole entire career. Sean Payton does like him though, and so he's going to get this week to kind of figure things out with this team, and again try and lead this team to, it's their first trip to the AFC Championship game since 2015, and that's when Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos were able to win Super Bowl 50. So again, an uphill battle. Really horrible news. I felt so bad for Bo Nix taking this team this far, having the season that they did. I know for fantasy and us, we said different things because we didn't necessarily get to use a ton of Broncos in fantasy football this season, but still really disappointing and pretty sad for Bo Nix to have to go down like that.
Yeah, it's also a revenge game for Stidham. So if you like that angle, there you go. But yeah,
I know you're taking Stidham.
Bo Nix, am I what?
You're gonna bet on them. You're taking the Broncos in this one.
I haven't made that decision yet.
Oh, okay. We'll figure it out.
But Bo Nix did play well in this game.
He did.
You got to give him credit. 3 touchdowns. I mean, again, there were some missed throws, but also led them in rushing. With 12 carries or 29 yards. They could not run the ball in this game.
Yeah, did we not make the joke that it would be Jaleel McLaughlin in this one?
Well, I mean, he only had 4 carries and Harvey only had 6. I mean, they just didn't run the ball, which kind of crazy considering the Bills' vulnerability on the ground. But, my guy Marvin Mims came through.
There we go. Your guy.
8 for 93 and a touchdown, a big touchdown catch as well. So... but yeah, I didn't bet on him in this game.
No, come on. What the heck? Nah. That's your guy. No,
yeah, that was late last year. That was a nice run. But, trying to bet on any of these Broncos receivers is really banging your head on the ground.
Yeah, 26 completions off 46 attempts for Bo Nix, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and then again in the rushing department, he was their best. He was their best on the ground, which is nuts. 12 carries, 29 yards. You did get James Cook on the other side, 24 carries, 117 yards. Dalton Kincaid had that touchdown. Marvin Mims a touchdown as well, 8 receptions, 93 yards. But yeah, Denver again an uphill battle facing the Patriots, and yeah, I'm sure that line's going to move towards the Patriots by the end of the week. If it's at 3.5 right now, like you said.
It's 4.5, but I think it was 5.5 at one point last night. So maybe people saying, okay, that's a little too much on the road.
Yeah, don't count out Jarrett Stidham, Adam. Come on, what are you doing?
I don't think you can, because again, we've seen some of these backups come in the postseason and do well. So Peyton, has a full week to coach them up, and Peyton's always been high on them. So. I know the Patriots defense looked extremely impressive, but CJ Stroud was trying to break records for most interceptions thrown.
Oh my gosh, that was just, we have to have long conversations. That's happening over there too, about CJ Stroud and what his future is going to look like, because that was absolutely awful. So again, we're breaking down everything that we saw over the weekend, but the Broncos were able to take down the Buffalo Bills 33-30. No Bo Nix the rest of the season though. I wonder where that puts him in line for starts for 2026, though. Do you think it's one of those things where, since it's so late, we're going to have to be cautious drafting him next year? I haven't read anything about his status for a potential week 1 start.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, no, I haven't seen anything.
We'll have to watch out for that, because that would be big. I mean, because now we've got, we weren't necessarily going to be drafting him everywhere, but Bo Nix was always going to be in the conversation of a top 15 quarterback, and same with Patrick Mahomes. So now we've got 2 quarterbacks with really late injuries that we're going to have to pay attention to in the offseason with their rehab, and see if they're going to be good to play in the week 1 season of 2026. So again, Bo Nix out for the rest of the year. We've got nothing to talk about, Adam. There's nothing going on, no news going into today, but we are going to continue breaking down these other games. Let's finish things up with the Seahawks here before we dive into CJ Stroud and a couple of those other games. We're going to do that coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Monday, breaking down everything that we saw over the weekend and breaking down that Seahawks dominant win. But before we do that, Bills fans, plug your ears, don't listen. I don't know if you're going to like this one, but according to Adam Schefter now, the Bills have promoted Brandon Beane and added the title of President of Football Operations to go along with his general manager title. And now he will oversee all facets of the organization. Perfect. Because it's not his fault at all, Adam. It was always Sean McDermott and only Sean McDermott.
Yeah, this is definitely crazy. So now expect no more wide receivers to be added to the roster.
Yeah, no, we have to let
fine.
that dream. We have to let that dream go. No, they're going to be totally fine because you can obviously win with Brandon Cooks, Khalil Shakir, and Keon Coleman. That's all you need. That's the recipe for success.
As we've seen, it's definitely working.
I don't know what's happening here. Gabe Davis is on this team. Joshua Palmer, Mecole Hardman, Curtis Samuel, Shavers. We heard him a couple of times.
Yeah, he got hurt too. Yeah, that's the other thing is all these guys are getting hurt. So yeah, I was asking if Marquez Valdez-Scantling's a free agent because you could bring him in. I think he'd be a perfect fit.
I don't know. Well, you better hope that this works because if not, it's going to, and maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe it does. Weirder things have happened, but yeah, Brandon being not only just keeping his job, but getting a little bit of a promotion there. So president of football operations now, along with the general manager. Again, Sean McDermott has been fired as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. But you know who doesn't have to worry? Well, you know what? Actually, I take this back because the Seahawks might have to worry about Klint Kubiak going somewhere else because this team just looks so good. And he has been getting a little bit of head coaching consideration. I say a little bit, but I've seen his name a lot of places, unfortunately. But this was the most dominant win as we continue to go through all of the recaps from the weekend, Adam. The most dominant win of the weekend, and it wasn't even close. You saw Rashid Shaheed return for a touchdown in the first 13 seconds of the game, and I was so happy after that. I was not stressed. I was just sitting back because I was a little bit stressed going into this game. 41-6, though, win for Seattle, just dominating the 49ers, and they are on their way to play the Rams at home. One win away from a Super Bowl appearance. And again, just a great dominating win. I think this just showed that they are the most complete team in the NFL right now, in the NFL playoffs. That's putting my bias aside. But it just looked really good the whole way.
I think they are really good, but I think this was just the 49ers. They ran out of gas. I cannot believe how much money was coming in on the 49ers, not only the 7 or 7.5, but the money line. I just didn't get it at all. And I guess someone responded to me, it's because of Sam Darnold. But that wasn't enough. I mean, look, the 49ers, they got fortunate to play the Eagles in the first round. I mean, the Eagles beat themselves. The Eagles were the better team, and the Eagles just flopped in that game. The 49ers just ran out of gas. They had nothing left. And when you're in a situation that they are going up against an elite defense, it can be over pretty quickly, and it wasn't this one. Yeah, he took the kickoff, and then a 4th and 1 fullback option. Really? Like, what the hell was that? So once that happened, I'm like, all right, yeah, this is pretty much over. You know, McCaffrey got banged up, but that's not what. That was insane. McCaffrey got banged up, but, you know, that was really more late in the first half. Didn't really mean anything. Tunt just got banged up. But, yeah, they just had so many injuries and going on the road in that environment. I mean, Sam Darnold had to do nothing. He could have had.
No, they didn't even need him.
He could have had a torn oblique and an ACL tear.
He's fine.
It would have been fine.
Yeah, so, he has 12 for 17, right? 12.
Yeah, he didn't even need to do anything.
He
could have just stayed on the sideline. They could have gone with the backup.
Be nice.
And then Zach Charbonnet going down sucked because I had his rushing prop, and I know he was going to cash it. And you know, goes out early, allowing Kenneth Walker to tease fantasy players and show those that drafted Kenneth Walker that what it would have been like with a full-time role this year. 19 for 116, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 catches for 29 yards, 22 touches, which we never even saw in the regular season. So that was just another reminder to those that drafted Kenneth Walker, hoping that it would be a breakout season. This is what it could have been. And nope, we didn't get it.
It was the 49ers were so banged up. Making it this far alone was, I mean, it almost felt improbable, and yet they were able to do it. Again, facing the Eagles the first week of the playoffs did help a lot because that Eagles team looked so bad. But you have to give them credit for being able to come this far, to be totally honest, Adam, because they've been banged up all season long. And yeah, you had McCaffrey sidelined by the stinger in this game, held to, well, it was week 18. He was held at 57 total yards in week 18. Finished with 74 in this one. But yeah, and then the receivers were not a factor too. I mean, you had CMC and Jake Tonjes account for 98 receiving yards in the first half, and their receiving group, their wide receivers, yeah, they weren't there. You had 4 from Juwan Jennings and 1 from Demarcus Robinson. So it was always going to be an uphill battle for them. I think it was a good season. I'm curious what they're going to look like and what their odds are honestly going to look like out of when they come back healthy. Like, they're going to come back healthy next season, but it's always going to be a question of who's going to be banged up. Obviously, George Kittle doesn't seem like he'll be good to start the year. You finally had a healthy season from Christian McCaffrey. Is that going to hold up for 2026? But I think if we're talking betting and just odds in general, them coming into next year, they'll probably still be favorites in a lot of ways.
Well, they will get a third place schedule, a 12-win team with a third place schedule. So that could help a little bit. But yeah, division's tough. Definitely a tough division. But yeah, we know that health was a big reason for why they couldn't take that step to the next level. A lot of injuries across the board this year, but that is something that always happens to this team. And there are certain teams that for some reason are hit by the injury bug hard, whether it's the training staff, bad luck, whatever it is. But we see that a lot with this 49ers team. But they were able to overcome it for the most part. I mean, I think it was a successful season when you consider everything. I mean, yes, you want to get to the NFC Championship game and you're close, but they clearly were overmatched in this one. And the final score, I guess, was a surprise, but I did not think San Francisco was going to win this week. I think of all the 4 games that I was most confident in this week was Seattle, and I was just very surprised when I saw like a lot of the money was in on the 49ers, especially the money line. I get it.
That's crazy.
I understand the lack of faith in Sam Darnold, and I think it could be a factor next week, but like not against the 49ers. I just didn't see it.
No, and it was such a good game. I'm telling you.
After because you weren't stressed out.
No, it was great. Well, I was stressed out leading up to it, and then you got the opening kickoff for a touchdown from Shaheed, and I'm like, oh, okay, I feel a lot better.
After that, you were like, okay.
Yeah, I felt great. Because what did we talk about last week? Sam Darnold playing with the lead is how you just kind of, you shake things off a little bit. You don't have that thought in the back of your mind that if I throw this interception, whatever. And so playing with the lead, I think, is huge here. I mean, Seattle, the 2 other takeaways, I guess I should say, was the 2 injuries that it came down to. Zach Charbonnet, he led the Seahawks with 12 touchdowns regular season. That's a left knee injury. I haven't seen an update yet, but we will get one as the week goes on. And then left tackle again, Charles Cross has been banged up this year, but he injured his foot in the third quarter. Both were ruled questionable. Both did not return. So again, those are 2 big injuries. Kenneth Walker really did step up though. 19 carries, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's playing right now because he's a free agent. And so he's shown everyone like, hey, this is what I can do when I have this prominent role, when I don't have Zach Charbonnet taking away all of my touchdowns in the red zone. So that was a fun one to watch. And like you said earlier, they didn't need Sam Darnold to be anything other than just, hey, just go out there. We're good. We've got this. The run game looked great. Defense held it down. And it was, it was fun as a Seahawks fan. Sorry, 49ers fans.
Look, I had said it last week that, people were like, okay, Kyle Shanahan's going to come up with a different game plan and it'll be better. Well, if you couldn't do it with the 1 seed on the line in week 18, when you only put up 3 points, how is it going to change 2 weeks later? What was the game plan week 18? That was probably the best you could come up with because you're fighting for a 1 seed. So it's just, the 49ers just could not do anything against Seattle. And, a lot of the injuries caught up, and give credit to Seattle too. I mean, they have a great defense, and they completely smothered the 49ers twice. Over the last few weeks. The 49ers could do absolutely nothing. They had no answers at all, couldn't move the football. So Seattle was in a good spot. They were coming off the bye. 49ers had a lot of injuries, but when that happens, you got to take advantage, and they absolutely did. I mean, 17-0 after the first quarter, and I think we all knew it was over. Like, I didn't think there was a chance. And we've seen some wild comebacks this year, some wild playoff games, but that was one game where you're like, yeah, it is over.
It was totally over, and I was so happy about it. So, yeah, little Go Hawks over there wrote the newsletter. If you guys want to see my breakdown of it, I wrote a poem to the Seahawks and Sam Darnold. You should check it out. FantasyLife.com. Yeah, no, it's good. You know, roses are red, violets are blue, kind of thing. But we're going to continue on. I want to go through the biggest winners here, presented by Xfinity. Biggest winners from the weekend and that divisional round. We're going to break it down here. Coming up next. Now it's time for there we go. Now it's time for the best around, presented by Xfinity. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy. Xfinity. Imagine that. Kayshon Boutte was one of the best around there, Adam. I mean, if you had him in any of those guillotines, you had 3 receptions, 75 yards, 1 touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson finished 16 carries, 70 yards. Drake May felt like the same conversation we had last week. Not a great first half. Put it together a little bit in the second half. Finished with 179 yards. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But yeah, Kayshon Boutte in those guillotines is probably saving a lot of people right now.
Yeah, you gotta like Boutte. You know I do, a big fan. And he made a great catch too on a day where it was really tough to catch the football because of the elements. What a catch in the end zone for that touchdown. A big play that was needed for sure. So, yeah, he has really emerged here. He's given us some fantasy games throughout the season. You know, he became a streamer at certain points. There was a stretch where he had 4 touchdowns in 3 games. And we know, it's going to be spread out amongst these receivers. But 2 really good playoff games here for Boutte. 4 for 66 against the Chargers, and then 3 for 75 with that big touchdown here. So they're going to need him to make a few more plays if they want to get to the Super Bowl.
Just a few. I think just overall, if we're talking, best around, biggest winners, I mean, Mike Vrabel in general, is he not one of the biggest winners here too, Adam? Because this is just 2 years after, and I was shocked when that happened with Tennessee, but he's 2 years removed from being fired from the Tennessee Titans as their head coach. And they're now looking for their second head coach since then. And so if we're talking biggest losers, biggest winners, and who won that break, it's Mike Vrabel, because he's heading to the AFC championship game in his first season with New England, and that team does look good. I wrote in the newsletter this morning that it just feels like the Patriots' down years, and I use air quotes for that because it wasn't that long, because it's just the Patriots and they know how to win, but it just looks like they won overall with getting Mike Vrabel in there. And Drake May, he's just gotten better as the season has gone on, and he's someone that next year in fantasy we're going to be looking to draft. He's going to be expensive now, but an overall winner is just Mike Vrabel in general, and what he's been able to do with this team and what he's been able to do after being fired from Tennessee as well.
For sure. I mean, he was really good in Tennessee, got them to be the 1 seed, and then he comes over to New England in his first season, where I think a lot of people felt New England could contend for the AFC East. I think their win total was 8.5 coming into the year. It was being bet on. So I think people felt New England could take that step up, but not to this level. To win 14 games, be the 2 seed, and now go to the AFC Championship in his first year, second year with Drake May. Just an unbelievable coaching job. And yes, as we alluded to, there were a lot of breaks along the way. They had a very easy schedule, but you know what? You win 14 games. I don't care how easy the schedule is. That's still impressive. You still got to go out there and win. We've seen teams with easy schedules not win that many games. And yeah, they caught Justin Herbert at a good time. And then this past week with C.J. Stroud just couldn't complete a short pass. But the bottom line is, he has really turned around this team quickly. And you could see the belief they have and the culture that Vrabel has brought there. So a really good job. And I mentioned it too during one of the breaks. You got to give New England credit for moving on from Gerard Mayo so quickly. You don't see that a lot. These teams are very patient. Well, it's the first year of the coach. We got to stick with him and give him some more time. They saw it quickly and said, yeah, this was bad, and moved on, and then brought in the right guy. So
yeah, huge.
A lot of credit to them.
Yeah, and sometimes that doesn't even work out, Adam. When they move on, they do it too quickly, and you're like, oh, well, now you're in this rinse and repeat cycle. But yeah, I think a huge winner was just Vrabel, the Patriots in general, obviously. And we always say this though, and this is going to be one of those seasons where people probably look back and they say, who did the Patriots beat in the regular season? And look at who they played in the playoffs. Justin Herbert on his worst day, C.J. Stroud on his worst day. But what do we always say? You have to win the games that are put in front of you, and they have been doing that. So I understand some people might not like it. But you just have to continue going with it. I'll say a little bit of a winner too. Kyron Williams, we're going to talk about this game, but again, for Guillotini's, more importantly, when you're looking at what he was able to do, getting those 2 touchdowns on the ground for this team where whether there were a little bit of the elements there, he played a big part, 21 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns there for him.
Yeah, I was on the precipice of getting chopped, and boy, Kyron Williams saved me, as did Caleb Williams too. But yeah, Kyron Williams, I'm glad that they went more with him because we've kind of seen the Blake Corum, Kyron Williams alternate drives, and this one they stuck more with Kyron Williams, who is the better back. So a good decision by them. And yes, Kyron Williams definitely saved the playoff hopes of fantasy teams in Guillotini's this weekend.
And you guys can still go and draft in those Guillotine League formats for the playoffs. GuillotineLeagues.com is where you can go. We're going to continue on. We've got a lot of news today. It's like every single time you look at your phone, something else is happening. Someone's getting promoted, someone's getting fired. So you need to be up to date on all the news and notes, and that's what we're going to do in the water cooler. Our favorite time of the day. Going to break down the head coaching search. Going to break down more of these games here coming up next. It is time here for the Fantasy Life Water Cooler. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you. One of our favorite times of the day. We're breaking down all the news and notes that you need to go through and know heading into a new weekend of football. And of course, we're breaking down everything that we saw in the divisional round. We've got nothing to talk about, Adam. There's nothing in the water cooler. We should just recap the Seahawks game again, go play by play on every single scoring drive. No, I'm just kidding. There's so much to talk about. Again, let's recap what we talked about here in the first hour. And again, fantasylife.com is where you can go subscribe to that newsletter that is in your inbox 7 days a week. We'll keep you always up to date. GuillotineLeagues.com is where you can go to play in more Guillotini's. Those are still live and active. You can go and draft starting today as well. So make sure you go and do that. All right. So Sean McDermott, again, we talked about this in the first hour, but just in case anyone missed it, Sean McDermott has been fired as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Brandon Beane, no, he is still there. Actually got a promotion, so not only still there, but is going to be overseeing a lot of the and most of the candidates for the head coaching positions there. So we also got news over the weekend, and we can couple this together, Adam, but Stefanski was officially hired for the Atlanta Falcons. So we've got now officially 2 head coaches hired. It's Harbaugh going over to the Giants. It's Kevin Stefanski as the new head coach for the Falcons. I actually didn't mind this hire for the Falcons. I thought Kevin Stefanski was always going to be one of the top candidates, and now they were one of the first teams to interview with him, and they got their guy after everything that they've been through. Matt Ryan also in that building as well. So yeah, big first step there for the Falcons going forward.
Yeah, Stefanski has had success, 2-time coach of the year. I know the last couple of years weren't great, but when you don't have good quarterbacks, it's easy to lose a lot of games. So there are some pieces there on the defensive side. The question is really the quarterback, because we know that there's talent with Bijan Robinson, Drake London. And again, they drafted some good defensive players this year that we started to see come on late in the season. So a lot's going to depend on who the quarterback is, but not a surprise that Stefanski got this job.
Yeah, he finished, 6 seasons with this Cleveland Browns team that had a lot of problems, and we know that some of the problems were on Stefanski, but 45-56. So he's looking again at the new landing spot with the Atlanta Falcons. He's replacing Raheem Morris, who was fired January 4th, had back-to-back 8 and 9 seasons. And this is a team, or at least an offense, Adam, where we look at it for fantasy football purposes and we say, okay, you've got great pieces. Let's not mess with a good thing there. Bijan Robinson might be the 101 in most drafts this offseason. Drake London is going to be way up there as well. The big question is on their quarterback and what they're going to do going forward for 2026. So again, a lot of big questions for a lot of these new head coaches going in, but yeah, the quarterback one is going to be one we watch very, very closely.
Yeah, that's really going to be the key, because we know that there are some good skill position players there, and who's going to be the quarterback.
And if they keep Kyle Pitts. You have any thought on that? You think they keep him, or do you think they just let him walk? Because again, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, look, he really did come on this year. He was great in the rookie year. We've seen some injuries in between kind of bring him down, but he was good to end the season. So I would think that they give him at least try and bring him back. I mean, do you know how many catches he finished without looking?
Catches?
I didn't realize it. Yeah, how many receptions do you think Kyle Pitts had
more
this year?
than 70. 75?
88.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
928 yards. So that's the second.
Wow, 88 receptions?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that high. I didn't have him anywhere. I did maybe best ball because I remember we had this discussion in the preseason. Wow. You were so out. I'm like,
I was so out. I was like, he's shown us who he is already.
I know, but I was like, wait, you could get Pitts at tight end 15. Where if it doesn't work out, you just cut. You're like, nope, I'm not taking him. I'm like, come on.
I was done with it. I was a frustrated fantasy football manager.
Yeah, and that's the part when you've been burned by someone year after year. Sometimes you just got to forget it. That's one of the biggest parts of fantasy is just having that convenient amnesia and going, okay, well, yes, this player has disappointed me before, but there comes a certain point where the price is just worth the risk because – and if for those that did take Pitts, now I think some people did cut him, right? I think there were people who did draft him, saw the start and said, you know what, I'm moving on. Now, depending on who you cut him for, right? Because there were some decent tight ends. The first few games weren't too bad, but there probably was a stretch where you were like, yeah, you know what, I'm moving on. I'm going to cut him. And then obviously a really strong finish. Now, you do have to take context here. It did coincide with Drake London being out. Right? A lot of that production, those big games down the stretch, Drake London was out for a lot of that. So I think you do have to take that into account. But yeah, he is going to be interesting to see if Atlanta does bring him back or does he go elsewhere and, how does he fit?
Yeah, we've got big questions at the tight end position overall, right? Because Dallas Goedert's also a free agent. Kyle Pitts has been linked to maybe potentially going over to Philly if they don't take back Dallas Goedert. Travis Kelce has some questions on if he's going to end up retiring or not. That would be a good replacement in Kansas City as well. Miami Dolphins.
If I was Pitts, that's where I want to go, Kansas City.
Yeah, no kidding. He's like,
Mahomes?
I get to go to Mahomes? Yeah, I'm going to be totally fine over there.
By the way,
yeah.
I can tell you how many touchdowns Pitts is going to score this year.
How many?
6.
Why?
This is his touchdowns going back to his rookie year. Each year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. So each year he gets one more.
6. All right, we could do that. That's going to be a big one again for the Falcons with a new head coach in Stefanski, and Matt Ryan's in the building as well. So trying to change their outcomes that we've seen. But again, really good pieces on offense. Can say the same thing on the other side as well. But yeah, this is going to be one where again he's not gonna get Trey McBride numbers. That was a 4-year, $76 million contract. But that's kind of what you're looking at. Again, he's not going to get that. But that is kind of a benchmark of where maybe you look at those negotiations, see how close you can get. New England might be one as well. Like maybe New England, again, Miami. Well, we'll see. But a lot of big questions with the tight end department there. Another piece of coaching news is that the Packers and Matt LeFleur did agree to a contract extension. So this was one where there were rumors maybe LeFleur would be out a couple weeks ago, and he's good. He's agreed to a contract extension. That was according to Adam Schefter over the weekend again. So it was another disappointing playoff exit. We talked about Jordan Love, and when you looked at his numbers there, how well he played at him. But it was one of those things where we said, hey, maybe LeFleur's gone, but no, they're keeping him there, which I do think is the right call. But yeah, they need to start contending in the playoffs again, just like a lot of these other teams.
Yeah, health was a big factor for this team. They limped into the playoffs. Losing Micah Parsons was a big loss, and another year of being the 7th seed. So that is something they need to improve on in a very competitive division. But yeah, LeFleur would have been highly sought after. And I don't think they could have let him go. I mean, he's had a winning season every year that he's been a coach except one. And that year was 8-9. So he started his career with 13 wins in his first 3 seasons. It's tailed off a little bit, but a lot of that was injury related. The division obviously getting better as well. So, a young coach, good offensive mind, needs to make some better in-game decisions, but the right move was to retain him.
Yeah, it's a good smart move in a season or an off season, I should say, where again, just to repeat this, we're gonna have 10 new head coaches in 2026, which is absolutely huge. We've got two of them down already with Harbaugh going to the Giants, and then again Kevin Stefanski signing and getting things done with the Atlanta Falcons over the weekend. So still got a lot of guys out there. Sean McDermott is the biggest one. I think, I've seen tweets going around that says if Sean McDermott shows up to the Titans facility or the Cardinals, they should do everything in their power to not let him walk. We said the same thing for Harbaugh and the Giants. We said they should not let him out of that facility, that building, and they did their best to do that, and it looks like they got it done. But I think McDermott now is the best, or probably going to be the most sought after head coaching candidate in this cycle.
Yeah, he probably will be. But boy, for him, you're going from Josh Allen.
Kyler Murray? Come on,
yeah,
it's basically the same, right?
I don't know. I might have to take a mental break for a bit after that.
Maybe he should go to Thailand. I've heard that helps, right?
Yeah, that definitely is an option. I would like that.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Well, and it would have been Mike Tomlin, but we have to remember that Tomlin, the reports are that he's not going to coach next season, that he's going to maybe go and do some TV, or maybe he doesn't do that. But I think Tomlin would probably be the biggest one, but we might not see him again until 2027 out there. Or maybe he does. You've said this, but maybe he doesn't come back. Maybe he just likes the TV gig. That would be sad, because I think Mike Tomlin's an incredible coach, 19 seasons with the Steelers, and I would love to see him coaching again, but maybe we don't see him come back. But 2026 doesn't look like he's going to be coaching, unfortunately.
Yeah, unless maybe the Bills open the bank and say that there's the guy we want. Let's trade everything.
Especially if they didn't see that one coming. It's not a bad gig, right? That's got to be the top of the list. If we're trying to rank head coach openings and ranking the best available jobs for you, is it Baltimore and then Buffalo? Or I think those two could be flipped, however you want to see them, like maybe a 1A, 1B situation.
For sure. Again, you're going into a situation where you have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, two of the top quarterbacks in football, right? So, yeah, obviously both are great situations.
Yeah, that is again crazy that we have both of those jobs opening up with quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. So again, we're going to wait and see. I think these dominoes are going to start to fall pretty quickly though, Adam, because these teams are just going to want to get it done, and they're going to say Sean McDermott's out there, some of these other head coaching candidates as well. So we've still got openings for those two, the Steelers, the Browns, Miami, Arizona, Tennessee, and I forgot about the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders as well.
Yeah, they don't
Raiders
count.
Have the number. Well, they do count. They've got the number one pick. We've got the college football championship tonight. Indiana, that'll be a good one.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. It just once again, football taking on a spotlight on a big day for the NBA.
Of course,
like MLK Day is big for the NBA. But I guess
the first we've got a morning game.
1:00,
or I do
1 Eastern. Yeah, Bucks Hawks.
Nice.
And then 2:30 p.m. Eastern, Thunder Cavaliers.
Oh,
so,
nice.
But
the NFL can't let them have anything.
Well, it's not the NFL; it's college football. I mean, there actually is a good game at 8. Celtics Pistons, two of the top teams in the East. Well, you know what? That's what you have one on the laptop, one on the TV.
Yeah, exactly.
But no,
I'll be.
And there's only the good thing is there's a couple night games, but not as much. But yeah, I'll definitely be watching the college football championship for sure. Looking forward to that. Seeing if Indiana can complete this amazing season. I mean, this story that story is one of the best you'll ever see.
It's really fun. And Miami. I don't know the stats, but when was the last time college football championship being hosted by a team in that same state, in that same city, like Miami, basically playing a home game? That's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun. But yeah, for Indiana, Fernando Mendoza looking like the number one overall pick this season. Things can change. We've seen it happen before, but Las Vegas does get that number one overall pick. They've moved on from Pete Carroll, still looking for their head coach. Tom Brady is involved in that as well, so he's expected to play a key role. We'll see what happens. I don't even have my thoughts together for predictions, Adam, because so much has already happened in the last not even 12 hours, like 2 hours, where we have Sean McDermott out there. But whoever is going to talk to Sean McDermott first, just don't let him out of the building. That's probably what you have to do, especially if it's Tennessee or Arizona. You need to make the right decision here.
Yeah, I don't even know if he would go to Tennessee at this point.
Yeah, he might not. Did you see the
Tennessee's
short
going to get
list?
the scraps of what's left.
Did you see the short list for Tennessee and the coaches that they're looking at? I was like, is this even real? And if it is, why? I don't know. Maybe you're right. It's because people don't want to go there.
They're like, yeah, well, we're not even going to bother with the top names because they're just going to, get a free dinner and waste our time. So let's just go with the bottom of the barrel.
That's sad. I hope they make the right call, but we probably know that they won't. Last year in the water cooler, again, we've got Jarrett Stidham. Sean Payton says that Jarrett Stidham will be ready to go and ready, quote, ready for the moment. Again, Bo Nix, unfortunately, went down with an injury after that game, or it was the third to last play of the game. Didn't even notice it, Adam, because he walked off. We talked about the pressers. Then Sean Payton came in and told the media right after that he's going to be out for the season. I think he's getting surgery on that broken ankle on Tuesday tomorrow. So hopefully he's got a great recovery and a good rehab process so we can continue talking about this team with him in 2026. But we get Jarrett Stidham going up against the Patriots. So an uphill battle for sure, but stranger things have happened, Adam. To be honest, you mentioned earlier that Sean Payton has really liked Jarrett Stidham. He was one of the first guys that he brought over when he was hired for Denver. So this could be one where, again, it's going to be an uphill battle. The Patriots are going to be favored, but they could maybe put something together here. Yeah,
again, we've seen these backups come in and surprise, and Nick Foles provided some inspiration. Did you see his tweet?
Yeah,
no, did you see his tweet?
Yeah,
he said
note in the newsletter. Yeah,
note for the Broncos and their fans. I know it has been an emotional 24 hours. I feel for Bo and the team, and I'm sending prayers for a strong recovery. A positive note going into the game versus the Patriots is that they struggle against backup quarterbacks in championship-type games.
So 27, that's why I said maybe he can do his best Nick Foles in 2017 to be clear, but maybe he could do that.
Then going back with the Giants, Jeff Hostetler. So maybe he's
1991, 1990 or something like that.
Trying to be a part of that history. It's going to be tough though.
It's going to be really hard. I think at the end of the week we're both probably going to pick the Patriots for obvious reasons.
For me.
Oh,
no, well, I'm gonna. My prediction before the playoffs was Rams Patriots, so I'm probably going to have to stick with that. Yeah, that was my prediction.
You're going to stick with both? You're not even going to take the Seahawks this week?
We'll talk about that later in the week.
I have a week to change your mind, though, then. How's that?
So I know you're picking Seattle, obviously.
Well, yeah. Do you see the hat today? I've got the bright green hat on. It's a Seahawks Victory Monday. Come on. I'm going to be nervous about it, just like I was last week, even though that one looked like a clear win. But I'm going to be nervous about it.
Seattle's favored by 2.5.
2.5? Did it open like that?
I didn't see what it opened last night. I just saw it was 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, I saw these stats for the 49ers. They averaged 8.7 points a game versus the Seahawks, 27.5 points a game versus the rest of the NFL. They shut them down this year. It was nice.
I can tell you it's going to be a lot more difficult against the Rams.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. They opened as 1.5-point favorits against the Rams. The Rams are tough, man. The Rams are just this.
They
tough.
are.
They're tough.
They have not looked great though. Late in the season, that was not a great performance by them against the Bears. You could say it was the elements, the weather, whatever it was. Stafford has not played well the last 5 games. So, but we did see them have that amazing shootout in overtime in Seattle. Yeah. Was that week 15? I think.
Yes.
16.
Yeah, 15, it was a Thursday night game.
38-37. So, and then the other game was 21-19. So it was 2 close games. And, it felt like the team that played better lost each game, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the Seahawks, as a Seahawks fan, I think we all know that the Seahawks did not play. Sam Darnold especially did not play well in that game with those 2 interceptions. But he overcame that, and that was big.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that during the week leading up to previewing those games.
Yeah. So again, line is moved, I should say, to Seattle -2.5. We'll keep an eye on Zach Charbonnet. He is set for more tests on his knee. Looks like today. They said after the game that they're optimistic that the injury is not serious. But again, they had Kenneth Walker out there, and he looked great in that RB1 role. So we'll watch out for that.
How about
for Charles Cross news as well.
How about the injuries this weekend? It felt like every game, multiple, especially fantasy contributors were going down.
It feels like that every week, but this week,
we had 4 games this weekend though, and it was every game multiple players were going down.
It was brutal. I don't like if you're doing a guillotine league right now,
Oh,
it's tough. Let's just say that. Yeah, it did feel like a lot more injuries, huh? Well, the Bills went into it already banged up. It's just, yeah, it was awful. You have to get booty.
I always in the pursuit of booty.
We're moving on now. I don't even know why I set you up for those.
You set me up.
I know. I set you up. We got to get some laughs.
What do you want me to do? When a pitch is thrown over the plate, I'm gonna hammer it. Sorry.
There we go. We're gonna move on though. I'm moving us along from the booty jokes. That was the Fantasy Life water cooler. FantasyLife.com is where you can go sign up for that newsletter. Go to guillotineleagues.com as well. Sign up for those guillotinies and continue drafting because there are still drafts going on. Let's continue breaking down these games. Speaking of, let's talk Texans. Let's talk Patriots and what maybe some of our expectations are as the week continues on. We're gonna break that game down here coming up next. We're breaking down everything from the weekend in those divisional rounds, and we are on to the Texans and the Patriots. We know producer Tim is happy here because we're talking about the Patriots because they won that game. It was 28-16 Patriots win. What a horrible day for CJ Stroud, though. Can we start there, Adam? I mean, a complete meltdown. 20 completions off 47 attempts, 4 interceptions, 212 yards, 1 touchdown. Never looked good. There were questions about if they were going to change to Davis Mills at halftime. I didn't think they were going to go that far. And obviously, D'Amico Ryans come out after the game saying that was never an option, that they were always going to trust CJ Stroud. But woof, that was horrible. He struggled so badly. It was just, and it never got better. It really didn't. It was bad.
Just awful decision making. These throws were just mind boggling. Now, to be fair to him, offensive line issues, no running game at all. 2.2 yards per carry. I mean, Woody Marks had 14 for 17. He didn't have Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz left this game in the first quarter with a calf injury. So there was a lot that was not going right. But Stroud just took too much upon himself to force these plays that just were not there. And then you could see mentally it clearly impacted. And we know that the weather seemed to be a factor because there were turnovers on both sides. And with all that said, I mean, the Texans defense is so good, it kept them in the game. As bad as it was for Stroud, it was only 21-10 at the half. And in my mind, I was like, okay, well, the Texans get a defensive touchdown. They're right back in this game. Because even after the back-breaking turnovers, oftentimes the Texans defense 3 and out got the ball back. To me, the best time was when the Texans defense was on the field. Because that's when I felt like they had the best chance to score. That's how putrid the offense was. And, yeah, it was really bad for C.J. Stroud. I mean, we're sitting there like, are you kidding me? And it's frustrating if you're the Texans because you have this top defense that really you just need competent quarterback play. And Stroud in these 2 playoff games was atrocious. Again, they were able to overcome it because Pittsburgh is so bad themselves that they had the 3 turnovers, didn't force any, and still won convincingly because the defense had 2 touchdowns. So you needed a defensive touchdown by the Texans in order to have a chance in this game. They just couldn't get it done. But, yeah, that was just really brutal to watch for C.J. Stroud.
He has never gotten back, he has never gotten back to that rookie form. And I think that's the thing that's most concerning here, Adam, is that you've got a quarterback that I think this organization believes can be their future, and he is up. I mean, if we're talking contracts, he is up for one. It's going to be close to that time where you have to ask yourself, are you going to wait at least another year before extending CJ Stroud? Is he the answer that we want? And he was the number 2 pick in the 2023 draft, and he's now eligible for a contract extension for the first time. And I think they might wait a season and see what they have in 2026 because his rookie season was so good, and we have not seen we've seen glimpses, I guess, of that a little bit throughout the rest of the seasons, but since then it hasn't been good. He threw 26 touchdown passes and only 5 interceptions. That's counting the playoffs as a rookie, and he has now, after this game, thrown a combined 42 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, counting the playoffs in 2 seasons since. So It's really tough. They changed offensive coordinators after his second season, where that was the season he was sacked 52 times, and so there's been a lot overall with this team that needed to get better. He was also, if we're going down this path, he was also without Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz got hurt as well, and the Texans have no run game. But there's going to be big questions there, and probably uncomfortable questions for just this Texans team as a whole, of just deciding what they want to do with Stroud, because it has not been as good as what we saw his first season.
They are essentially the Seahawks of the AFC, but they asked their quarterback to do a lot more, and he's not capable of doing it right now. And they have no running game. Seattle has Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. They're able to run the football and, go off play action. Darnold's got a big arm. He has JSN. They have Nico Collins, a guy, though, that was not healthy and was out with the concussion, but they can't run the football. And now you're putting everything on the shoulders of C.J. Stroud, and he's just not capable of doing it right now. Just such bad decisions. There were a lot of throws that could have been picked, even more. He's lucky that it was only 4 interceptions, but they have no running game. That's been a problem all season long. We've seen it in the red zone near the goal line, how they just can't convert these short yardage plays. They need to get a running game. To give C.J. Stroud a chance. Maybe he's more of that game manager where you have this elite defense, you don't ask him to do too much, but they asked him to do a lot in this game, putting the ball in the air 47 times, and he's not capable of doing it right now.
Yeah, it was tough. And again, I'll say this. He wasn't up to his rookie year standards, and that was a fantastic season. And it's unfortunate because he's going to be remembered for the postseason meltdowns that we've seen. And it wasn't just this game, it was last week as well. And so he's going to be remembered for that. But I want CJ Stroud to do well. Like, I'm actually rooting for him, and I think a lot of people are, because we've seen what the highs can be, right? We've seen what he is capable of when everything comes together. And I think he can get back there. But if we're talking about contract situations here, I don't think the Texans are in any rush. I think that they just kind of, he's 24 years old right now. I don't know. When's his birthday? Hang on. When's his birthday?
July 12th.
Ooh, no, not even close. October 3rd, 2001. Oh, 2001. Jeez. But 24 years old here. And I still think that I think they just wait. I think teams, we see it a lot of the times where they rush into these deals too quickly, and then they end up regretting it. And so I think if you've got one more year on this contract, because he is signed through 2026, they've got the team option for 2027. That's probably what they're going to do here. Just let's wait and see what happens in 2026. Yeah.
But we need to see some fast improvement.
I know. Well, let's see some improvement with the offensive line too, and the run game, and all these other pieces. If they can do that. On the other side, Drake May, what did you see from him? He didn't have. I felt like for the second straight game, didn't have his best days out there, but it was good enough to help deliver that win. So he was coming off the performance from the Chargers, where we said better in the second half than the first. Felt like the same thing here, but they were able to get it done off not only CJ Stroud mistakes, but we've been playing highlights here from Kayshon Boutte. There were players that definitely stepped up in this game for them.
Yeah, Diggs, that touchdown, amazing catch. I mean, we saw the elements and how difficult it was to hold on to football. I mean, just an amazing catch to hold on to the ball there. Boutte on the touchdown, amazing catch. So he got help from his receivers, but it wasn't a great game for me, but he made plays when he needed to, and we knew it was going to be difficult. It's the Texans defense. I mean, they're really good, and it was not the easiest matchup. He took 5 more sacks. He's been getting sacked a lot. That's something that's been inconsistent this year, but Patriots did enough. They're fortunate. The defense played very well, though, too. You got to give them credit there. It could have been more lopsided. They couldn't take advantage of the turnovers for the most part. Like I said, usually they would get a turnover, and then the Texans defense would go 3 and out, force them 3 and out. Yeah. So, Drake May did enough to get them to win, but he'll need to be better if he wants to take them and win a Super Bowl.
Does he have to be better next week against Denver? Not really. He needs to be good, but they might not even need May's A game in that one because Jarrett Stidham's out there. I don't know. That defense too the Denver Broncos defense, and we'll start really breaking this game down as the week goes on. Like the Denver Broncos defense, sure, they're going to be tough, but I don't even know if you need his A game.
They're not as good as the Texans. We have seen it down the stretch here, especially at home. Broncos have been giving up some points at home. late in the season. And then, yeah, I know Buffalo's offense is good, but they still gave up 30 points. So I don't think they're as good a defense as the Texans.
No, absolutely not. And then maybe the Seahawks. Seahawks are up there as well. But we've got big questions going into this game here. More on the Broncos side than the Patriots, but they did enough. Drake May and the Patriots did, so they were able again to win this game 28-16. And so they are on their way to the conference championship games again against the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos are at home in this one. Continuing on, this was a crazy game last night, but it is time to break down this Bears loss and what we saw out of Caleb Williams, what our expectations are going to be with them as the 2026 season comes here, and what our expectations are with the Rams as well. We're going to break down that game here coming up next. Wow, what great calls after such an incredible game. You thought they could do it, Adam. We all did. We said, oh, Caleb Williams, there were no words for what we saw Caleb Williams do with that touchdown pass to Cole Kmet. That was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And for him to do that in a time where there was, 14 seconds left or something like that, it was absolutely amazing. But unfortunately for the Bears, the late game magic ran out and they weren't able to put it together. But they're called the Cardiac Bears this season for a reason, and you can never count this team out. And that's exactly what they did against the Rams. Again, they lost this game 20-17 in overtime with Mevis's overtime kick sent the Rams to the NFC Championship game. But just an incredible game, and that throw from Caleb Williams is one that we're going to see highlights for a long time.
Yeah, just an insane throw. And we know the talent that Williams has, and the Bears just have this knack. The Bears, right where you want to be, down with 2 minutes to go, down one score, because you know that they're going to find a way to tie the game, and they did that. Just amazing. I mean, and unfortunately, though, we're probably not going to remember it because it was a loss, right?
Yeah, probably not. We might. It
loses its luster, though.
Well, it does if they won that game.
I don't know if you remember the Mets Cardinals when Endy Chavez made that phenomenal home run. He robbed the home run, but it's forgotten because the Mets didn't win. So it's kind of like that. We'll remember it, but it won't be the same had they won this game and then advanced. But yeah, Caleb Williams has the talent, he has the arm, and the one thing that you like to see too is in these big spots, he doesn't fold under pressure. Like, he's kind of built for these moments, and that's something usually you either have or you don't. He clearly has it. So I think if you're a Bears fan, you have to be encouraged for the future. Now, I know Washington fans said the same thing last year, but I think this is different because with Ben Johnson coming in, changing the culture, you also have a younger team. Washington had a lot of older players, but I think you have to feel good if you're a Bears fan. Now, you don't want to hear that today because sometimes you don't get back there, right? It's not easy to make the return and go through the entire season again and get the breaks along the way and be in this spot. Sometimes you never get back, but you have to be encouraged with Caleb Williams. 2 years now in the league, definitely improved this year. Did throw 3 interceptions, although that one in overtime, it looked like DJ Moore was not running full speed.
He didn't on his route or whatever.
Yeah, like he didn't. Like you could see him kind of look towards the quarterback, look away as if the ball wasn't coming, and Curl got a much better break on the ball. He read it very well. So, tough there. But, I think if you're a Bears fan, maybe not today, but in a couple weeks, you'll be like, okay, we feel good about the future, with Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. He didn't take a sack in this game. He got much better at that. Again, just needs to improve the accuracy a little bit. But, another year in the system, a full year of Colston Loveland. Remember, he really didn't get involved in the offense much early in the year. Luther Burden, Romo Dunze, who was banged up with the foot fracture. So there was a lot of positive things to take away from the Bears. And the defense in this game, too. That was the surprising part for me. The Bears defense really played well in this game. I mean, they created a lot of problems for this Rams offense. I mean, that was not one of the better performances for the Rams offense. They really struggled in this game. They did well on the first drive, and it looked like, okay, they're well on their way. And it was a challenge the rest of the game. Stafford was under pressure. He was sacked 4 times. So I think even though it was a loss, a lot of positive things to take away here for the Bears.
Which again, you people listening don't want to hear it today because it's going to hurt for a long time, but it really was. I mean, it was an incredible season. And if you're a Bears fan, the fact that throughout the back half of the season, Adam, that we said anything was possible with this team, and they proved it time and time again that they were not going to be counted out in any of these moments. I think that's a win. And this is a young team, of course. We are going to, you have to be able to grade coaches based on what they do year in and year out. So let's see them get back to this moment again. But for what you got out of Ben Johnson, when we talk all the time, Adam, about new head coaches coming in don't usually do what we just saw Ben Johnson and this Bears team do. It feels like this marriage is going to last a long time, and it's going to be really good between him and Caleb Williams. And I think, too, another thing that you just have to be happy about is how Caleb Williams progressed throughout the season. He got better as the year went on, and that's also something that you just want to say is a big win, because sometimes we don't see that. Sometimes we see regression. Sometimes we just see them stuck in the mud a little bit. And for Caleb Williams, we didn't see that this year. We saw him really get better as the year went on. Accuracy, of course, is something we're going to talk about this offseason, but this is a young, fun team, and they were in these games, and anything was possible with them, and they just couldn't get it done on this stage, and that's okay. I know people are going to be bummed, but it was still a great game. You mentioned the defense. I mean, they dialed up some pressure on Matthew Stafford. I saw some of these stats where Matthew Stafford, I mean, if you were just watching that game, he was uncharacteristically inaccurate. It wasn't the usual Matt Stafford we see. He had 11 off-target passes. And so, yeah, as a whole, the Bears blitzed Stafford on 37% of his dropbacks. He also finished 0 of 9 on play action. So they really did dial it up, and they gave themselves the best chance to win. And it came down to overtime, and they weren't able to get it done, unfortunately. They're going to be thinking about DJ Moore a little bit. I already got some texts saying from Bears fans saying, get DJ Moore off my team, which is, I mean, it didn't look good. Caleb Williams came out after the game and just said they weren't on the same page. Obviously they were not. But yeah, there were a lot of big moments in that game, and a lot of big moments in the season where it doesn't feel good now, but you can be happy with the season that they had.
Yeah, it was so close because on that drive, all they needed was a field goal.
Yeah.
And they kick it, they're going to the NFC Championship game. So yeah, so tough for them. I mean, they turned it over 3 times. The Rams did not. But yeah, it was a close game, and the Rams definitely were on the ropes a few times, and they were able to survive and get it done. But doesn't diminish what the Bears did this year. Just some amazing wins and a good first year under Ben Johnson.
Were you surprised about anything that we saw from the Rams? Again, Stafford was a little bit, just didn't look like himself. But again, I give more credit to that being the Bears and what they dialed up for him on defense more than anything else. Devontae Adams didn't have a catch in the first 3 quarters. I know that killed a lot of people in those guillotines if they went and picked him up. So what did you see on the other side here for the Rams?
Yeah, people spent a lot of money on Adams too, and then to get 2 for 24. Even Puka Nacua was a disappointment. 5 for 56. I mean, that's not what we're used to seeing from Puka Nacua. So yeah, it was really only Kyron Williams was the only one who had a big game. Matthew Stafford didn't even have a passing touchdown. Think about that. Oh. He did not have a passing touchdown, under 50% on the completion percentage. So yeah, it definitely was not one of the better games for the Rams. Yes, maybe the elements, the weather had a little bit to do with it, but they were able to survive, and it's always tough to win on the road in the postseason, and they definitely escaped. But yeah, you didn't get a lot of big performances. Kyron Williams was really the only one, 21 for 87, 2 rushing touchdowns, also caught 4 passes for 30 yards. But yeah, very underwhelming performance for the Rams offense. And you know, there are people that picked them to go to the Super Bowl like myself, but there are some concerning things here in this postseason, for sure. I mean, this defense is not played well. They were better in this game though. Came up with some key plays, but the offense was not great in this one. But they're getting a familiar opponent next week in Seattle, so should be a fun game. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, they held, again, the Bears to 17 points in this game because we saw them give up 31 to the Panthers. And if we're counting week 18, 20 points to the Cardinals, we saw them lose to the Falcons there 27-24. This was obviously the regular season, but just going through the past couple of games here, the Rams, again, they did what they needed to, right? Matthew Stafford helped lead that game-winning overtime drive, and they were able to just get it done against the Bears, whose late-game magic, I mean, it was was kind of there, Adam. I don't know if it like ran out is the word, because that Cole Kmet touchdown was absolutely insane, but they weren't able to get it done. I thought they were going to go for two, to be totally honest. I didn't think that I thought that it was just going to be Ben Johnson saying, let's go for it all. And I was kind of shocked that they didn't.
I was okay not going for it, but I see the other side where you just stun the Rams. Their defense was exhausted and worn out. And maybe you just try and take advantage of that moment. But yeah. I think in most situations, teams are just going to kick the extra point. So, I mean, it's easy to say after looking back on it. But, again, Chicago had opportunities. You know, they could have won in overtime. They got some big stops, and they were, 15 yards away potentially from field goal range. And just unfortunate the miscommunication or whatever happened with Williams and DJ Moore. But you could see Moore definitely was not expecting that. And tough way to end your season it was a successful season for the Bears. Fans don't want to hear that today or last night. I get that, but the bigger picture is I think the Bears definitely exceeded any expectations that we had for them this year. But again, when you're right there, it's overtime, you're so close, you need to get that W because you don't know if you'll be back in this spot. I mean, they might never be here for the next 5 years. It's certainly possible. I mean, think about the Lions.
Yeah. No, it's true. That's why this one's gonna sting a while, and you don't want to take victory, like moral victories. You're like, oh, at least this looked good, but you can rest that it did look like a good season, and it was a first-year head coach in there, which we don't usually get to see often. So it was impressive. But yeah, this one's gonna sting for a while for the Bears and their fans as well. Speaking of, though, it's not gonna sting for these other four teams that are in it. We're gonna talk Patriots, Broncos. That game is set. What the line looks like, what the total's at. Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks at home at Lumen Field. See what the line is for that and the total. We're going to be breaking down or setting the stage, I should say, for those games here coming up this weekend. We're going to do that next. This is Fantasy Life right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Monday. A lot of news that we got through here. As always, make sure you go to fantasylife.com. Subscribe to that newsletter. If you missed anything, we are going to have it all written up and in your inbox early tomorrow morning. We'll have some articles for you as well. But yeah, Adam, just a wild 24 hours after those games. We got head coach firings, hirings over the weekend as well. It was just... Yeah, we love football. We love the NFL. There's always something dramatic going on. Let's just say that.
Oh, for sure. Now we talk about it, how it's year round, and there's always so many things going on. I mean, the coaching changes and new offensive coordinators are going to have a big impact on fantasy. And then the games this weekend started off with a bang. Bills, Broncos going to overtime. Then, they decided not to have you go through any stress. So it was an easy victory for Seattle as you enjoyed your lasagna.
Yep.
And then, Texans Patriots was an interesting game, very sloppy, but
gross.
It was close for most of the game. You were just wondering if the Texans defense can overcome the ineptitude of CJ Stroud. And then we had a phenomenal game with Rams Bears to cap the night with Caleb Williams making that amazing throw to tie the game with Cole Kmet coming down with it, and then overtime. So 2 overtime games, not a surprise. I mean, most of these games were all close, right? We looked at the lines, and the only game that was more than 7 was Seattle, San Francisco. And of course, that was the one that was the most decisive. But, we had basically 3.5-point lines, 3-point lines. And I think the Broncos, they closed as 1.5-point favorites. So
yeah, that sounds right.
So, yeah, as we expected, we knew it was going to be a lot of close games. The crazy part is, though, we were like, oh, this is such a wide open field. And we have the 1 and 2 seeds in the AFC and then the 1 and the 5 in the NFC. And the Seahawks and the Rams were the 2 favorites to come out of the NFC going into the playoffs. So, you look at it, you're like, oh, it wasn't wide open. But it really was. It just happened to be that it broke that way. But we had a lot of close games, overtime games. It's been a thrilling playoff so far, and hopefully we get 2 good games next weekend.
It's been a really fun playoff. I mean, starting with the wild card weekend was insane, and it was so much fun because you had Jaguars, Bills going down to it, 49ers, Eagles. The Texans Steelers game was gross because that was 30-6, but even the Patriots, that was a gross game as well. Patriots,
Well, remember
Chargers,
that the Texans
16-3.
Steelers was like a 1-point game early in the fourth.
Yeah, but it was just kind of gross.
Yeah, well, it definitely was. I'm not
It was
disputing
gross.
that.
Yeah, it was. So I think it's lived up to expectations. Of course, people are like, we wanted to see Jacksonville and we wanted to see the Chargers, but at the end of the day, these are going to be two great games this weekend, both on Sunday, a noon Pacific time kickoff, and then 3:30 Pacific time. Rams Seahawks going to be the last game there, and it looks like the New England's going to be the biggest favorites of the weekend. 5.5 is what I'm looking at here. 2.5 point favorites for Seattle. That seems about right.
Yeah, I think the Seattle Rams game is obviously the better game. We've seen them play twice, both close games. The last one was in overtime with Seattle going for 2 to win it. So, that's definitely going to be a fun game. You're going to be stressed this weekend. It is not going to be a cakewalk like it was against the 49ers.
And I was stressed last weekend when you were telling me it was a cakewalk. And I was like, I still don't feel good about it. Imagine me this week. I can't eat more lasagna. Oh, my gosh.
Well, you're going to have to. If that's been the trend and that's the good luck charm, better start baking.
Oh, man. 47.5 point total there, 41.5 over for the Patriots and the Broncos. We're going to be breaking those games down right here on Fantasy Life this week. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll be back same time here tomorrow.